All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. My name is Clement. I will be your presenter today. I'll be talking to you about MetaStock 19. Let me just quickly introduce myself. Again, I'm Clement. I am the president here at MetaStock, and I've been heavily involved in the process of developing MetaStock 19, putting it together. And a lot of this, what we've done in MetaStock 19 is based around user feedback. So I'm really excited to take you through the features, whether you have MetaStock 19 already or you don't. I'm excited to show it to you, what it can do, how you can use it, and how it can help you in your trading on a day-to-day basis. Now, on the YouTube side, we do have a poll up there about what version of MetaStock you're using. If you're in GoToWebinar with me, would you just put into the chat what version of MetaStock you're using, just so I know what version everybody's using already. All right, well, while we're waiting for that to get into the chat, the first thing we always have to do here at MetaStock is go through the disclaimer. So I'm going to read this really quick, we'll get it out of the way, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. So this demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and accompanying software plugins, and is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines for interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information software techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock and its employees shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of their software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. MetaStock and its employees do not endorse the purchase of any security, nor are they paid for the promotion of any security. No information contained in this presentation should be construed as an investment advice or solicitation to buy any security. Well, I feel like we just ran out of time reading that, but we'll go ahead and go through everything anyway. All right, it looks like we've got some people using 19, we've got some people using 18, we have some people who don't have MetaStock. So we kind of have a great mix of people here. Now, one of the things I would really encourage as we go through the presentation today is to actually just go ahead and ask questions. Hello, Haresh. Hello, Zdenko. Great to have you here. Ask questions. That's why you're here. You want to learn about what we're doing. So I want to show you what you can do, but if you have questions about, hey, could I do this workflow or could I do this? Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's answer those questions. So go ahead and put questions in the chat if you have them during the presentation. So let's go ahead and talk about what is MetaStock 19. Well, MetaStock 19 is basically, it's a new version of MetaStock. It's been redone from top to bottom. We've added in so many new features into the software. We're not even going to talk about them all today, just because there's so many. But we're going to talk about a lot of the core features that are available to you in MetaStock 19 as part of this upgrade. Now, so you can see here on the screen is a list. We're not going to spend a ton of time in PowerPoint today. It's mostly going to be in the software showing you those new features. But let's start here. Let's just talk about this. So the very first thing we've done is we've added theme support. And this has actually been a big request from users over the years, because just in a poll in a webinar we did yesterday, we asked people, hey, do you prefer light mode or dark mode when you're using an application? And 90% of people prefer dark mode. Okay, and MetaStock's never had that before, but it does now. So that's a great addition to MetaStock. We've got some new and improved charting workflows. I'm thrilled to take you through. They're amazing. You're going to love them. New layout workflows, which are going to kind of change the way you use MetaStock a little bit. And I'll explain that and show why as we go through the presentation. We have a whole new container, which is basically the user interface. The whole new user interface has been updated and changed. We've got some new charting styles to talk about, some new drawing tools, and new trading systems. So we have a lot to go through. So let's go ahead and jump into it and talk about what some of these features are. So the first one is theme support. So theme support is basically the ability for you to change the color of the application that you're using. So if I go back over to MetaStock, you can see we have a dark theme here and a light theme. So if I go over to my MetaStock 19 here, you can see it's set up in dark theme right now. So you can change it to the light theme by simply going to theme and then changing it to MetaStock light. Now I'm not going to do that right now because it actually restarts the application, and you can see it on the screenshot and you can play with it when you get it. But I really like dark mode. I'm a big fan of dark mode. That's the way I like to look at apps, as well as in dark mode. So this is a big enhancement for me to be able to go into dark mode and look at dark mode. And so you can see the light mode, what it looks like there. But you can also see right away that the whole interface has been changed and updated. And we'll get into some of those changes as we go along. But the first big change I want to talk to you about here is the charting workflows. Okay, so the charting workflows, I love it. Welcome to the dark side, MetaStock. From Haresh over there in YouTube. Great comment. I like that. The first one here is charting workflows. So before in MetaStock, you could always look at charts. You could arrange them, cascade them, you could tile them. But one of the big things that people like to do is work like a browser. You want to be able to tab through different things. And that's the first edition here that we've set up. And you can actually see just a quick example in this little animation I've got here of tab charts and clicking through tabs. Now let's actually go over into MetaStock, open up some charts, and show you what this looks like. So if I go into MetaStock 19 here, and let's just say I open up Tesla to start. Okay, so we'll just do one chart. So you can see this one chart here is just, it's kind of in a little tab, kind of like if you opened up a browser and you just had one tab open. So if I go back into the Power Console and I open more charts, so let's just say we open up some other automotive stocks. We'll do Ford and GM here. You'll see that'll go into tabs as well. So I can now click through my tabs and quickly move between them. So it's easier to navigate between my charts. Now, the other thing you can do over here is you can click on this down arrow and it will let you just select from over here. So if you had 20, 30 charts open, you can just select from this list and switch between them as well. So it's very easy to navigate between them. The thing that's kind of great about tabs, and I don't know if you know this in a browser, but you can pin things to the front. So if you want to have an actual, if you have 30 charts, but you're like, hey, I'm really interested in these top 3 over here, I can actually go in and I can click this little pin icon and it moves it to the front and it keeps it at the front. So any of them that I pin will go to the front and stay at the front, even if I open up more charts. So it's going to keep those tabbed right there at the front and available to me. And a browser works a lot like that if you weren't familiar with that. And I can just unpin them if I want by just clicking the pin. I can also right click on it and pin the tab as well if you want to do that. Now, one thing that you can do with tab charts that's a little different as well is when I have a tab chart, I can actually grab it and you'll see it actually floats out. So it's actually now floating outside of MetaStock. It's not contained in the container, as we call it. So you can take this chart and you can put it over on another monitor. You can't see my other monitor, but I can drag it out, put it on another monitor. So I can drag all my tab charts out and put them wherever I'd like, which is a great way to be able to navigate and move around with charts. Now, if you're not really concerned about floating out or you just have one monitor, that's fine. We can just right click on this, dock it right back in, and it will go right back into my tabs for me. So it makes it really easy to do that. The other thing I can do when I pull things out, so you'll notice like when I pull that out and drag, you'll notice these little squares that kind of pop up everywhere. Well, what that means is I'm going to create what's called a group, a document group. So I can actually take this and say, well, I want this chart to be on the right-hand side here. And if I click that, it will make 2 separate windows. So over here, I've got this one, these 2 tab charts, and over here I have this one by itself. Now, if I wanted to, I could right-click and say, hey, put it back, just move it back to the previous tab group. Or I could come over here and right-click on this one and move it over to that other tab group. So I can move them around and jump them around between different groups. So these groups make it really easy for you to move around and do different things with charts. What I really like about this is I can resize them. So if I resize that one, it automatically resizes this chart over here. So I can have 2 different sizings of charts and be able to just drag them around. Now I'm going to show you more with that when I get into layouts, because there's some really cool things I like to set up with layouts and the ways that you can look at charts when you're in a layout. So this is a really cool thing. If I don't want to kind of have to drag and drop into groups, you can actually right click up here and say, oh, make me a new vertical tab group. And it'll just slice it in and put it in as another tab group. So you can have all of these different sizings. You can make them vertical, you can make them horizontal, you can resize them to whatever you want. You can save those groups, which we'll get into in just a moment, but it makes it really easy to navigate. I really, really like this. It's really changed my workflow when I'm using MetaStock, because I can easily tab through charts and not have to see a whole group of charts. I can focus on one at a time by just clicking through them. So let's just merge these all back. We're just going to say move to previous tab group. And then we'll just go over to this one and we'll right click and we'll say move to the next tab group. And it just consolidates them all back for me. So it's easy, really easy to navigate. And again, just bouncing between charts, so easy. Now, if you like the old way, of the classic way of arranging charts in MetaStock, that's still all available to you. So if I wanted to come up here to auto tile, I still have auto tile, I still have cascade, I have stack, column, and then we have these two different tile views that you could do as well. So very easy to navigate and move around between these different views. Okay, so I really, really like it. I think you're going to enjoy working with tabs. If you have 19 already, you're probably already addicted to tabs, would be my guess, because they're just so easy to use and navigate around. If you haven't played with it yet, man, take an opportunity. They're awesome. Okay, so what we're going to go to now is we're going to go to layouts. So layouts have always been available in MetaStock. Okay, what a layout is it's a grouping of charts. It's a selection of charts that you can view together as a group, or a single chart or a group of charts, multi-time frame charts. And I'm going to show you an example of what you can actually do with layouts. And I think you're really going to like this, because this is again another thing that's changed my workflow a lot in MetaStock. Layouts in older versions of MetaStock, if you're running any version of MetaStock that layouts were available in before, it was a bit clunky to move between and have multiple layouts going. It was great for opening one set, but switching between them was a little bit cumbersome. And this is just so much better. So let's go in and show you what a layout is and what it can be. And we're going to do 2 or 3 different examples to kind of show you. Hopefully one of these examples fits in your workflow. And again, if you have a question about, hey, well, could I do this? Please ask it. I'd love to talk about it. So now in MetaStock, you'll notice if you have 19 or you don't, up here, it says main. So you're going to have a main window, which is the main place where you're opening up charts and doing things. But with a layout, it actually becomes a second instance, basically, of MetaStock that you're able to manipulate. So let's go ahead and create a new layout. And to do that, I just click this plus button right here. And what you'll notice is it pops open basically a whole other version of MetaStock. It looks just like the other window, everything, except it says Layout 2. Now, if I maximize this, and I'm just going to click on the Power Console here, and what we're going to do for my first example is I'm going to set up what we call maybe like a broad market view. Okay, so we're going to go to, I'm going to put in DIA, QQQ.O, SPY, and IWM. Okay, so if I open up all 4 of these charts, I'm going to go in and I'm going to save it in a way that I want to look at it. And then I'm going to save it and show you how I can quickly open it up and pop it up so I can review it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go up here and I'm going to right click and I'm going to say new horizontal tab group. And what that'll do is split it horizontally. Now what I want to do is I want to take the Dow here and I'm going to put it over here on the side. So my Dow view is the main one I want to look at. And then the Qs over here, I'm just going to go ahead and pull down here and split it off. Okay, so you can see I have the Dow, I have the Spider, the Qs, and the Russell. I'm going to shrink the other ones over here a little bit. And you can see how responsive that is. It just saves it right over. So that's the view I want to save. Because I've just set that up very quickly, I can now just go to File, go to Save As, and this will pop open a box. Now, if you've ever made a layout before, this is 10 million times faster and easier. You don't have to go through 10 steps to create a layout. I can just go in here now and say, well, this is Kelly, let's just call it Kelly Broad Market. Okay, and I'll click Save. You'll notice up here, this changes from the word Layout 2 to Kelly's Broad Market. Now what I can do is I actually have two different versions of MetaStock running here where I can switch between them. So if you have groups of stocks that you like to open, so let's say I have this view, I want to keep my positions in one layout and save them so I can quickly open it. You can do that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do this. I can also, if I click Alt-Tab, you can see I have the two different versions of MetaStock I can click between. I can come down here and select them between here. So there's a lot of ways to navigate this and move between them. Doug's asking a great question. How CPU intensive are multiple layouts on your computer? It's really no different than if I had, so if I have one layout with 5 charts and I have one layout with 5 charts and I have another layout with 3 charts and another with 2, that's about 15 charts open. So it's about as intensive as having 15 charts open. It's not really that intensive. I run it quite often myself, having multiple layouts, and I don't really notice a lag. I mean, obviously, if you're getting up to 100 charts, then it starts to become intensive. But if you're just running that, and it depends on if you're end of day or real time, because streaming it in real time makes a little bit of a difference either. But I think you're not really going to run into that, Doug. That's a really good question. Okay, let's talk about another layout scenario, and this is one that I'll use quite often as well. Let's go over to the plus. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to set up a multiple time frame layout. Okay, so what this will allow me to do is quickly switch between charts on multiple time frames. Let's see, over in YouTube, can I add different indicators on different stocks of one layout? Absolutely, that's a great question. I'll show you that example here in just a second. We'll talk about that one here in just a second. So that was actually the third one I was going to show you. Beat me to it. All right, let's open up the E-mini here. So I'm going to open up ESC1. And what I want to do this time is I want this same chart, but I want it in different time frames. So what I'm going to do is just come up here and go to Window, New Window. And you'll see it makes a copy of it. I'll go Window, New Window. And I've got my 3 different time frames. Now you can do 4, 5, 6, whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go New Horizontal Tab Group. And then let's actually take this one and we'll move it over here. Okay, so you can see you can really arrange these however you want, which is awesome. And then I'm going to change this one. Now I'm using MetaStock real time, so I have intraday timeframes available to me here. But if you're using end of day, you'd have the daily, weekly, monthly. So let's do a 30-minute. We'll do a daily, and then we'll do down here a weekly. So I have my 3 time frames now, and I'm just going to save this as a layout. Okay, I'll just call it multi-Kelly. And we'll click Save. And when we have this now, what we can do is I can close this and reopen it. The thing I didn't show you is if I closed it, we'll just say, yep, we're going to save that. If I close it, it will be available up here to me in my most recently used. Okay, so you can see here's the one that's open, and then you'll see this line here, and then these are most recently used. So if I switch to multi-Kelly, it'll bring that one right back up for me. So it's easy to close them, reopen them, and bounce back and forth. My mouse is a little stuck there. Now, a cool thing that you can do once you have a layout like this, if you want to switch between different charts, what you can do is you can just click on this little hamburger menu down here. And remember, you'll be able to go back and rewatch this if you miss a step that I do as well. So click on that little hamburger, go to Options, and then change this to change all charts in a layout. That's already selected. So if I come over here now and I say, well, I want to see DIA in those time frames, I can click that, and it's going to switch all the charts in those time frames to the different settings that I've saved. So I could just now type anything that I want it to do. So if I just type IBM, hit enter, it'll just switch to IBM. So it's very easy to set that up like that. I really like multi-time frame layouts. It's very easy to do, and you can navigate in and out of different charts as you want to. If you have a setup that you like and you just want to cycle, it's also a good way to do it. So there was the question of, well, can I have the same chart with different indicators on it in a layout? Yeah, so you could do exactly what I've just done, but what we're going to do this time, and this will be our last example before we move on, is, well, let's do one more layout here. And what I'm going to do is I'll just open up IBM. And what we'll do is just apply a couple of templates to it. So if I go, let's open the Power Strike template. And we apply, I just type and say MACD histogram template. So you can put all these different indicators on in different views. Now, you'll notice it's not making new tabs because there's an option that I didn't select there. So if you apply template, you have the option to replace the existing chart. Now, I don't want to do that for our example, so I'm going to uncheck that, and we'll do that again. Okay, so you can see we have two different ones, and that's fine. We'll just use the two different ones. We'll do a vertical tab group. So now I could save this as a layout and have the two different setups side by side. So it makes it really easy to have your different indicators side by side. So that's the other way you can do that. Just go File, Save As, save that layout, and you've got it set to go. So layouts are, the way that we've changed these layouts just makes life so much easier to save groups of charts or single charts in ways that you want to view them like never before. You can really just navigate and bounce between different things so easily now. I just love being able to go, oh, let me check the markets. What are the markets doing? Okay, let me get back to my trades. Let me move back to what I was working on. So it's an easy way to really bounce around. So I really hope you love this layout feature. I really do. The tab charts, the layouts, just the two things we've covered so far are really big additions to MetaStock 19. And I think when you get this, you're really, really going to like them. Okay, so, and the thing we didn't really talk about there is the layouts can go to different screens. So as you have a layout, you can take one and move it over here, and take one and move it over here, and take one and move it over here. So if you have 3, 4 monitors, 2 monitors, you can have different layouts on each screen. I think we do limit the number is, let's see, Neil, I kind of like this view with the instrument watermark. Is there an easy way to see what templates look like? Like what? Yeah, so the watermark, what he's talking about there is this watermark right here. So this is a new feature in MetaStock 19 as well. We'll talk about it right now since we're there. So if you like the watermark, you can turn that on very, very easily by just going up to Tools, Options, go to Chart Options, and if you choose this Display Watermark and turn it off, you'll see that'll just turn them off. And the great thing about the watermark is it'll kind of adjust colors as you're changing your different, if you change chart background colors or anything like that, it'll auto adjust along with that. So let's go back to Tools and turn it back on. Go to Tools, Options, Chart Options, Display Watermark, click OK. Now, if you change the color of your chart, what I was saying, if you come down here to the chart templates, which are added in MetaStock 18, let's say I went to the electric one, you'll see it'll still stay in there. It just kind of subtly changes colors for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about adjusting them. So let's go back to MetaStock Dark here, and there you go. Doug, that is a great question. Doug's question is back to themes. Okay, good on the dark theme, but did you fix the data window to also be the same darker color so you can read the lighter color line values? Impossible on white. We did, Doug, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. I'll come back to that one. That's a great question. Yes, to answer your question, Doug, yes, we did. So there you go. So we'll talk about that one here in just a second. Now, this one, we're not even going to do this because it's really, really easy. This is Restore Workspace. And what restore workspace is basically if you're working in multiple monitors doing multiple things, or you have one MetaStock window open, it doesn't matter. If you just close it, it won't ask you to save. It'll just close it, and the next time you reopen it, it's just going to restore everything back right the way you had it. So you can see this is an example of the workspace restoring. So when you close it down, bring it back up, it'll just come right back to what it was. That option's on by default. You can turn it off if you don't like that, but you can see I just closed it. It'll reopen and come right back to the way you were. I love the yay, Doug. I love the yay. We'll take that. All right, so that's restore workspace. We're not going to go back here. Easier indicator searching. Okay, so one of the things in MetaStock that people complained about is getting to the indicator that they want. Now, one of the things that we've really tried to do in MetaStock 19, and you're going to see this in a lot of different things that we talk about, is we've really tried to bring search to the forefront. Okay, finding things, making things easier to find. And that's in a lot of different aspects of MetaStock 19, and you'll find that as we go through this presentation. But so what we're going to go, let's go over and say we want to look for an indicator. So I just click on the down arrow here, and when it highlights orange up there at the top, that means it's ready to search. So if I just start typing and say type MACD, you'll see it does two types of searches in one. One, it does exact search. So whatever is down here in gray is the exact match to what I just typed. Everything else is something that contains the word MACD. So it'll give you just that set and the specific one. So if I go back here, just to do another example. So if I type RSI, you can see there's everything with RSI in it. Or if I type stochastic, it'll just give me everything with stochastic and everything that has an exact match to what I typed. Okay, so there, in that example, I have two different exact matches to what I've typed, but everything else contains. It's a really cool search, makes it really, I love it, Neil. Neil's comment is, oh, thank God. I love it. That's a great one. Yeah, so very easy to search indicators. The other thing that's really cool in here now is it's all alphabetical now. It's all one group alphabetically. You don't have to, you don't actually have to go through it and search it. I'm getting a question from Alan over in GoToWebinar. Are relative rotation graphs available in MetaStock? Sorry, new to MetaStock. Thanks. Hey, ask the questions you want to ask. That's why you're here. So relative rotation graphs are not in the core this version of MetaStock, but we do have relative rotation graphs in our Zenith platform. So if you have MetaStock real time and you have the Zenith platform, you do have relative rotation graphs there. So if you have end of day, you wouldn't have it, but if you have real time, you would. So, and if you want to know how to access that, you can contact support and they can show you how to access them in your MetaStock Zenith. Good questions. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I love questions. All right, so that's indicator searching. Very, very easy. Again, everything in MetaStock 19 is designed to make your life better, easier, get on to what you want to do. So that's a indicator searching. Now, if you write code, if you're a code writer and you like to write indicators and do those kinds of things. Now, if you're not, that's okay. But if you do, this is a really cool update. So when you go into the indicator editor, well, let's actually just go over into the indicator editor. So if I come up here into MetaStock and go to the indicator builder here and click new, it'll pop open this box. Let's just call this Kelly's demo. If I could type demo. All right. So what you'll notice over here first is you have a line count. So as you add more formulas, it will show a line count. Now, why that's important is, so if I were to do a simple moving average here, so if I just said move, close, now this is in a coding class. What Alejandro's asking, is it possible to add personal formulas for indicators I use in other software? Yes, absolutely, Alessandro. That's actually exactly what I'm doing right here. So great question. You can go in here to the indicator builder and you can create your own indicators and transfer what you have over in another platform right over into MetaStock. And if you need help, we can help you, even better. Okay, so if I write, this is moving average, I'm gonna do it based off of the close, a 20 period, simple moving average. Okay, so that's a simple MetaStock indicator. Now, let's say I forgot to put the close parenthesis at the end, and I click OK. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, there's an error here. You're supposed to have this close function, which MetaStock would do previously. But what happens now is it shows me the error down here, and it tells me what line it's on. So you have an error on line 1, end of function expected. So if I had 30 lines of code, instead of looking for a blinking cursor in the middle of it, it's going to show me exactly where my error is. And then the other part of this is, I'll go ahead and put my close parentheses there. It will highlight syntax for you as well. So you can see I have the close highlighted. I have the 20 period. So those are variables that I can put in. It'll highlight those variables as you go through and add them. So if I go ahead and click OK, now everything's all right. So I can go ahead and click close. So really easy to do that. If you create your own formulas, that's going to be a big add for you. Now, Alejandro, the other thing you can also do is you not only can create indicators, you can also create your own explorations if you wanted to. We put in that same dialog for creating explorations to be able to do that. You can also create back tests. There's a lot that you can actually create with the formula language in MetaStock. So I'm glad you're interested in that. Okay, so that's everything in the new indicator builder. Toolbars. Now the toolbars in MetaStock, we've tried to redesign all the icons over here so they're a little bit more identifiable to what you're looking for. So those are all redesigned. You can see these are all updated. But some of the things that you can do with these is you can come in here and you can remove individual buttons from the toolbars. So if there's different ones you don't care about, you can just remove those. You can remove whole toolbars by just unselecting them, by right-clicking and unselecting. You can also go into custom toolbar properties. Oh, not custom. If we wanted to go into, customize, you can go over here to options, and you can make those icons large if you want to. So if you're using MetaStock, say on a touchscreen laptop, you could have it so you can have your buttons a little bit bigger to click on and drag and drop. Neil, yeah, there's been a few. We've completely redone it as well. It's been updated with this whole new theme and everything. So I'll show you that when I get to it. We've tried to make it a little easier to use, a little more refined. So yes, Neil, there has been some updates to option scope. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. And you guys are awesome. I love all the questions. Okay, so if you want to mess with icon sizes, those kinds of things, that's all available. Again, you can turn toolbars on and off as you go through it. We talked about the indicator build. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong button. Okay, expert advisor search. We talked a lot about search and some of the things that you can do with search. So if I right click now and I go to expert advisor and click attach, it's a lot easier now to search for whatever it is you're looking for. So again, that same kind of search where I can just say, hey, MACD or RMO, and it'll take you to exactly what you're looking for rather than having to scroll through and trying to type something and it doesn't match. The search is much better. Doug is asking for custom toolbars. Did you expand the capability to add more or different icons? Yes, in the custom toolbar, yes. Actually, yes, we did do that. So I'll show you that in just a minute too. So that's indicator searching. Now, the next two that I'm going to talk about, and then Doug will actually be getting to custom toolbars after these two. Well, while I'm talking about toolbars, let me show you a custom toolbar because you're asking the question. So if I come over to custom toolbar, so you can see that they're actually updated icons right there. And if I right click and go to custom toolbar properties, it'll bring up the custom toolbar. So you can see one new icon right there that we've added. Let's go ahead and create a new one. Now this box was updated, so you can just see, oh, I want to add a new one here. And when you add a new one, you're actually doing everything all on the same screen. So you're not having to go through multiple screens to add something. So you can see we've got these new vector directions, links, idea, key. These have been, this little folding map, these have all been updated. So they'll change color based off of the theme that you're looking at as well. So let's say I wanted to do idea here. And then let's go ahead and browse for a template. So the custom toolbar, and I'll show you what the custom toolbar here is just a second if you're not familiar with it. I have a lot of templates on this version, so it takes it a second to load when I'm doing this. Okay, sorry, clicked off. Let's go back into MetaStock here. Well, somebody took my, here, let's actually do, maybe look for layouts, a few less of them here. Well, somebody's been moving around my folders. Well, I can't, sorry, I apologize. Somebody's been moving my folders around, so I'm not sure where to navigate to there. So we'll just go back here. So you could browse, add it to there, add your own screen tip for what you wanted. So if I come up here and click on this one, and some, well, let's edit one instead so that you can see it. We'll click edit, edit. All right, so this is what it looked like. So if I hadn't selected it from my folder here, and then I could put whatever tooltip I wanted. So we took out the word apply. I just want to say popular and click OK. And then I can change the button here. So if I wanted the vector, just choose OK, choose OK. And now you can see that icon vector over here. And if I click on that, what it'll do is it'll just change and add the template for that one right there. All right, so that's that one. Neil, I'm going to come back to your question in just a second here. And let's go ahead and go to the next one, because this is a big one I want to focus on. So I'm going to close this. And this is an enhancement to the expert commentary window. So the expert commentary window is something that you can use to view what's going on with an expert. And if I come back over here to MetaStock, let's close these and let's just go back to my main window. Okay, so here's my main. Now what I want to do is I want to put on an expert. So let's go up to our expert dialog box here. And let's just say, for example, we'll put CPS. So CPS is one of the add-ons we have, and we'll put on the top ranked. And you'll see the symbols pop up on the screen. Now the expert commentary window is a great way to see what the expert is saying about your chart. And if you use the expert advisor, you probably use the expert commentary window. But in 18 and previous, the commentary window is a very clunky thing. It kind of, you can float it, you can have it there, you can dock it to the side, but it's not very responsive. Okay, so Nestle is saying that the screen presentation has stopped and he's not seeing it. Can I just confirm, Greg, that we are actually still we're actually still broadcasting? Okay, then Nestle, if you're having that problem, what you probably want to do is just refresh and then come back in, which it looks like what you're doing. Okay, so let's go into the commentary window. Well, we're just going to go up here to view, expert commentary. And what it'll do is it'll pop open just like, normally it'll pop open just like it would in MetaStock 18. So it'll just show up there. But here what's happened is let me show you what it would look like when it first loads. So this is what it's going to look like when it first pops up. It's going to pop open just like it has in previous versions. But what you can do after this is very, very different. Remember when I was showing you with tab charts, how you have those options to dock things where you want them to be? Well, that's what's going to happen with the commentary window. You'll see I have this same box where I can tell it where I want it to dock and where I want it to save. Okay, so if I click there that I want it on the right, it'll dock right there, and then I can easily resize it to whatever size that I want. Now, what's cool about this is obviously that's great that you can have it docked and you can have it set in there and it's responsive to what you're doing in MetaStock. But what I like is I don't always want to look at the commentary window. So let's say I wanted to go back to this bar right here where it's got a pattern that it's telling me about. Okay, I've read that. I don't need to see it anymore. Well, instead of closing it and then having to reopen it, what I can do is I can come up here and I can right click on it and say auto hide. Now what auto hide does is it'll put it to the side for me. So that way I don't have to see it all the time. And it actually put the auto hide over here for me. So you can see if I come over here and click on it, it'll pop out, but it kind of goes over the chart. So if I click on it, it'll keep it right there for me. So then I can click in and out of it. It makes it easy to see what's going on with the commentary without having to have it open all the time. And you can move it around once you have it and put it wherever you'd like. And my mouse is issue. All right, so you can see it. It's drag and drop. It's move wherever. You could put that floating commentary window wherever you want. This is, I keep saying things are a game changer for me in MetaStock 19, but they really are game changers for me in MetaStock 19, because having that auto hide feature makes it so easy to just be able to, oh, okay, I don't need to see the commentary. Oh, I need to come back to it and jump around. So it's very, very, the other way you can do that, if you don't want to, right click, if you come down here, you'll see I have two slide options here. So I have this one, and if I go over just a little bit, you see a tiny one. And that means it's going to turn it into auto hide. So if I click it there, you'll see now I have my auto hide. Now, I was asked the question earlier about the data window. Let's open up the data window. And you'll see that went into auto hide mode too. So if I'm in auto hide mode, it'll put both things into auto hide. So let's click on it and let's resize it here. And what the question was is, one, did you improve the data window to do something like this? Yes, so you have the data window there. But the other question was, well, if you change your chart color theme, does it match the data window? And the answer to that is yes. So if I were to go to Bright Spark here and then go over to the data window, you'll see that it matches the color of the theme of the chart. So hopefully, Doug, I think it was you, Doug, that asked that question. That makes you very happy. I think that will make you very happy. But you can do the same thing with this. You can take it out of auto hide mode. So if you just want to dock it, we right click and it is now docked. But my commentary window, you see, is still floating out here. So it'll just switch between the two. It makes it really easy to navigate around and go through. Hey, yeah, YouTube, I'm getting lots of questions over here on GoToWebinar, but I'm not getting lots of YouTube questions. So feel free to ask questions over there on YouTube. Okay, so that is the data window and the commentary window. Great changes to it. Just makes it easy to navigate around and see the information that you want. Oh, Doug's very happy. I love it. That makes me happy that you're happy, Doug. I like it. Let's see, Alejandro was asking, way when you added the indicators to the template, it turned white. So yeah, so there's actually two different themes, I guess I'll say, in MetaStock. So you notice the container I have up here is in dark mode, but my chart is in light mode. So you can actually have two different things going on if you want to. You can have, if you like the dark theme, but you like a gray chart, you can do that. If you like the dark theme, but you like oscilloscope, that's very, very bright. But you can change and have different themes. So when you're applying what's called the template, the templates will save the chart theme to them. So if I were to apply, say, the Bollinger Band big trends, or I clicked on the big trend score. So if I were to click on the big trend score, whatever that template was saved as, that's going to be the chart color. Now you can go down here and change it to dark mode, and then you could resave it as a dark mode view for it too. So that's all personal preference. So everything in MetaStock like that is customizable and makes it very, very easy for you to get to how you want to customize it, how you want to look at it, if that makes sense, Alejandro. Okay. The great thing about this presentation is we're jumping all over the place because you guys are asking great questions. So I've already talked about some of the things that I had in the PowerPoint, so we could just move on. So there's the expert commentary enhancements. Oh, and you can have the expert commentary per layout. So if you had 5 layouts open, you can have 5 different commentary windows going. So it's not just one commentary window anymore, and it'll just go. You can have them on each layout. So that's a big suggestion too. Just a suggestion of, instead of adding the watermark on the center of the screen, you could add it to the top left so the candlesticks are not hidden. That's a great thing, great suggestion. Oh, well, I mean, if you have the watermark too, you always have the, it always will tell you what chart you're looking at here at the top as well. So if you don't want the watermark and you just want to look at what you're looking at up there, I can see I'm looking at GM, the price, the change, and the time frame. So it'll tell you all that on the chart as well. Okay, so we already talked about the data window enhancements. So quote center and option scope, we're getting asked about that a little bit earlier. So they now use the same theme as MetaStock, so they're all tied together. They're all the same theme. So there's a new container for quote center. There's a new one for option scope. So they look a lot more modern, just like the rest of MetaStock. You know, it's all been updated there. Let's just open up quote center here. So we've got 94 stocks there. So we'll go ahead and pop it open. So you can see it's all updated. It looks a lot more modern. It's been refined to be that better workflow that you were asking about, Neil. The settings is a lot easier to get to as well, so you can get right to the settings that you want to get to much easier. And then you can also click on this little section to see everything all in one shot. Option scope. Let's open up option scope and let's take a quick. Oh, let's close that. Yes, we want to close. And if we go to option scope, and we'll just open up, say Ford or something. And while that opens up, I'm just going to take a quick drink. Oh, well, let's change that symbol. Let's open this up. We'll go to instrument and let's go to open up Apple. Okay, so you can see the same thing. So all the filters and everything are easier to get to. It's not as clunky. It docks until you tell it to go away. And I think on my account, I don't have options, so I can't show you the full option scope. But you can see here that it's all set. It's all cleaner. It's more updated. It's not as clunky as it used to be. Oh, well, I don't have any options selected. That's why I'm not seeing anything. So let's click an option and see. Okay, yeah, I think my account is not permission for options here. So I should have used a different account. Apologies, everybody. So there is an option scope. I wish I could show you everything in there, but it is a lot more refined. It is a lot easier to work with across there. Okay, so we're not going to spend a lot of time here, but there's been a lot in the Power Console that's been updated. It's just easier to read, navigate through things. So you'll notice here in the Power Console. Oh, Neil, yeah, I'll get to your question here in just a second. So you can minimize everything. So everything has an arrow that can be minimized, changed. Everything's been changed. Everything's been updated to kind of refresh it. Makes it easier. Thanks, MetaStock over in chat for answering that question. I appreciate that. I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, so the first time you open MetaStock, one of the big things I love is, and it's funny, little tiny things make all the difference in the world. But if you have, when you open up MetaStock for the first time, it will just default right to in here rather than having to click in there. So if I wanted to open up a symbol, I can just click in there and then hit open chart. I don't have to go and click. Little tiny things make all the difference in the world. Okay, so Neil, your question is how to modify the giant chart tips box on the candle mouse over. So I think what you're talking about is this is the tooltip box. There's not currently a way to modify that. What symbol was it that you were having issue with that I wanted to see? Could you give that symbol again and we could take a look at it and maybe we can figure out what's going on with it. So, you know, typically it's just that size. I think it was, but I can't remember what symbol you were looking at. So let's take a look at that and come back to that and answer that question. Oh, this one's great. Here at the bottom, I'll show you this one. So typing to apply a template will navigate alphabetically. So if I right click, if I go to the Power Console here and go to apply template, same thing. You can now type in, so if I were to type RMO, it would take me and find everything with RMO in it. So it navigates and flows right down to it. Okay, GCM 24. Let's take a look at that. GMC 20, DCM 24. Oh, yeah. Is that what you're seeing? That's about the size of the normal tooltip. So maybe, Neil, what I'll do is I'll give you my email at the end. If you have questions, we can try and figure it out together. Here, I'll just put my email address in that box right now as a response, and we can figure that one out together. So if you want to send me a screenshot of what's going on, we can figure it out. Yeah, so if that's not what you're seeing, yeah, let's figure it out. There might be something maybe just a skew in there. So send me an email and we'll chat after, and we'll figure it out. You're getting the entire name of the contract. Yeah, that's weird. So let's talk about it and we'll get you figured out. Okay. We already talked about the custom toolbar. Okay, so this one is if you want to navigate around between, if you have a lot of charts open. So we talked about you can click here to see your open charts, but sometimes you may have 30, 40 open charts and you may want to kind of go through them in a different way. So we added in a different feature where you can hit Control Tab. So if I click in MetaStock here and hit Control Tab, it'll pop open this window for you. Well, you gotta love it when a demo goes good here. Let's go. Okay, well, I've got that window stuck in front of me here. Let's try and close something. Sometimes when you're presenting, it takes up a lot of resources, so we'll try and free up a little bit. Okay, well, we've got a window stuck in front of us here. So what we're gonna do is reboot really quick. Not reboot, but just restart MetaStock here. Give me a quick second. Yeah. Yeah.
You do just a second. Somebody mentioned that the watermark obscures the chart. In fact, it really doesn't do that. In that one instant, both the chart and the watermark are gray, but that's not normally the case. So it's not really. I love the watermark. It's one of my favorite new features because I can immediately see what chart I'm looking at without having to squint up in the corner or something. So just wanted to point that out. I'm actually just trying to fill a little time while you're rebooting your computer. That's really rebooting.
Yeah, I'm just restarting. I'm just restarting MetaStock is all I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. See if there's any other. Otherwise, you've been answering most of the questions here on the YouTube side. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just show you here from the PowerPoint while this is starting. You can see the little animation. So if you hit Control Tab or you go down to Window. Down to Window, View Open Windows, which is what I'm doing there. It'll pop open a dialog box there that's going to show you what charts you have open. And if you click on them, it'll give you a little preview of what you're switching to. So it's a great way to get a little preview of what you're switching to and actually get a view of that. So here, let's see if it pops open for me. Okay, so there you go. So there's the little preview window. And you can see if I click now onto GM, it's giving me a little preview of GM, and then we can switch it. Okay, so that's what that window was. Okay, so this was actually a big big user request. And I want to show you this one because it's a great feature. I really like this. Let's close everything here. Close all my charts. And what we're going to do is go to the Explorer. And we're just going to run a quick scan here. So let's just say we're going to do CPS3 top ranked bullish here. And it looks like I have 634 stocks selected. That's fine. And we'll go ahead and run that exploration. So and you can see this is all updated as well. So it's got all the same updates to it, all the same theming, all of that. But what'll happen with this is when we're done, I'm going to show you a really cool feature that's been asked for by a lot of people because it really helps navigate through lists of explorations rather than having to go through and spend time in the Explorer, which is great. I'd like to spend time in the Explorer, but okay, so I got 4 stocks here as my results. Now, each one of these, you can see these columns, I can click on them and sort them. And you can see it'll give me a little ranking to let me know which way it's been sorted. Okay, but what's great is if I open up one of these stocks from the list, well, and this would maybe make more of a difference if I had 20 or 30 stocks open. But if I double click this stock, this first one, you can see it's ranked this way. So the first one I have open here is Datadog. The second one is Lamb Weston, then Nike, the Texas Instruments. So if I close this now, so I could double click on each of those to open it. But what I can do now is just say, well, I just want to go through that list. So I opened up the first one. I can click on the second one. It'll just go to the second one as it was ranked in the Explorer, go to the third one, and then go to the fourth one. So if I've ranked them based off of, say, volume or different rankings in those columns, if I open up from that list, it will just let me cycle through the list in the way that the Explorer had ranked them. So that is a great addition. That's been a big, huge user request to be able to see. So I really use that. That is a big addition to MetaStock 19. I'll take my headsets off because then I'm not listening to myself talk. Okay, so that is a huge addition. I really like that change. That one was a big user request. And again, a lot of this is user request driven. This is, like Doug was saying, hey, thank you for listening. Thank you for doing that. And those are the changes we're trying to make in here. So that's a big one that I know once you kind of start using it, you're really going to like as well. Other things here we've put in, most recently used, we've put in a few different places. You can come up here and you can click here. This is the list of the most recent stocks that you've looked at and the most recent layouts. So if you want to open or switch between anything, you can go there. You can also go to File, Recent Files. It'll show everything there. The public list editor is easier to navigate. The custom list editor is easier to navigate. You've got the ways to move between layouts and tab charts. And we've talked about chart themes, but we did add 2 new chart themes. Wait, open up a chart. So if you have MetaStock 18, you can change the chart theme down here, but we've added 2 to match exactly the theme of the chart of the application. We've got MetaStock Dark and MetaStock Light. So those have been added. Do you have like a PDF, like the user manual? I'm old school and I like to print and read. Oh, sure. I mean, if you want to, you can come up here to help. If you go to the Getting Started guide, that's a PDF. There's also the PDF Unleash the Power of MetaStock that you can get, that you can print and read as well. So there are those options as well. Okay, volume by price. So this has been another big user request. Now, if you don't know what volume by price is, we'll talk about it for just a second here. Volume by price is a great way to look at positive and negative volume in certain price ranges. Okay, and I'll show it to you on a chart. But what it's really used for is it's used to show buying and selling interest at certain prices, like I just said. So you can see the volume at specific prices, the positive and negative. And the way that this looks at it, it says, okay, well, from close to close, was that price positive or negative? And then it associates the volume to that bar and shows it in this chart style that's on your chart. So if I come up here, go to our awesome search. So we'll type volume by, so it's volume by price. So if I drag this onto the chart, it's going to ask me a few questions. How many zones do you want to see? We default it to 12, but you could do 5 zones or 2 zones or 25 zones, whatever you want to look at. And then you can say how much data you want to calculate on. So if I have 100 years worth of data on the chart, it'll calculate off 100 years. If I have 5 years, it'll do that. Or you could just say, hey, I want to look at just the last year. You can do that as well. So that's all customizable. You can also change the colors of it if you prefer. But let's go ahead and drop it on the chart. I'm going to leave it right there for a moment. And I'm going to zoom back. We'll just scroll right here. So you can see with IBM, a lot of the volume has actually been down in this range, and we've had less volume up here. So if I just load all the data of the chart, you'll start to see why. Because most of the price trading wise was down in this zone, and there's been very little trading in this zone. So if I change this down and say, hey, maybe I actually only want to look at the last year, you'll see it just focuses in and looks at the last year. Okay. So what I'm looking at here, if I hover over each of these bars, it's going to, let's look at the top one here. It'll give me the tooltip and say volume by price. It'll say my price zone. So what this zone is looking at is 191.37 to 197.78. That's my price zone. If I go down to the next one, you can see what that price zone is. So what we have here is positive volume of 39.33 million and negative volume of 28.43 million. So I have a lot more positive volume here than I do negative. So in this price area, I have a lot more positive sentiment than I normally would. Okay. If I come down to the next one, I can see also I still have more positive than negative volume. So I can start to make an assumption that at this price level, there's more volume, positive volume than negative volume. Okay. If you'd like to see this on the other side of the chart, you can drag it over and you see you'll get a little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner down over here. That means you're going to move it over to that side. So if I move it over to that side, you can have it as an overlay if you want to. So I like to look at it back over here. So this helps me say, okay, well, let's say that I'm using any indicator like a MACD and I get a buy signal at a certain price. Let's say I had a buy signal right here. Well, I could say at this price, which falls down here, well, I actually have more negative volume at this price. So I may want to consider like, well, I'm getting a lot more negative volume at this price. Does that coincide with my buy signal? Now, I think on IBM here, we'd probably be getting a sell signal. So if I was getting a sell signal, well, that would align and that would go along with it. Yeah, actually, Neil, it is really cool. It's a very cool indicator of volume by price. So you can use that to kind of measure volume and get a good correlation to whatever it is you're trading. It's a great confirming indicator. You can use it on its own, kind of like, hey, I just want to see what's going on in these different price zones. It's really flexible to help you in your trading. I really, really like what this does. So let's just say, hey, I want to do 5 price zones. You can see it kind of breaks it down a little bit more and gives me just kind of maybe the area I'm looking at over the last 5 years. Okay, so where's most of my volume? Well, it's right here down actually in this range versus up in this range. It's really cool. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this indicator and help get you to what you want to look at. So again, positive volume, negative. So positive volume obviously is the green, negative volume is the red. You can change those colors like we talked about. There it shows on the tooltips, it shows you everything you need to know about what you're looking at. And then you can see how it kind of ranks, where the lowest volume is, where the highest volume is. And we already talked about how you can use it all. So it's a really cool indicator. Volume by price is what it's called. Just search for it, plop it on your chart, take a look at it. I think you'll really like it. It's really cool. And again, it's been a big user requested feature. Now we've added in a new charting style. This is, again, people have asked us for this to add this in. And this is range bars or candles. So you can actually view these as bars or candles. But what's really cool about range bars, if you're not familiar with them, is what happens is typically if I'm looking at a chart, let's go back to IBM here, and let's zoom back in. Okay, so here what we're looking at is we're looking at a daily bar, so each bar represents one day. Okay, that's the way most normal charts work. Things like point and figure, Kagi, Renko, those are different. But what we're going to talk about is one called range. What range does is it gives us a chart display based off of how much movement you have rather than time. Okay, so if I double click on this and I go into it, and the easiest way to edit anything in MetaStock is always to just double click or right click. So here in parameters, oh, let me change my color, my style. So let's go down and we're going to change this to a range bar, and then I'll show you candles after. Okay, so you can see that that changes drastically. If I come down here now, you can see my time has changed quite a bit. It's not really lining up the same way it was anymore. Because what we're doing is we're calculating ranges. So we're saying, give me a bar every time it moves. Right now, the equivalent of 14 ATR, or average true range. You could also say, well, hey, I want a new bar every time this moves 5 points up or 5 points down. So let's do 5 and click apply. And now let's go over to our chart. So what's happening now is this is plotting every time we have a 5-point move. So there may be some days that this doesn't update at all, and there may be days, if say it goes down 15 points, that you're going to get 3 ranges. So if I hover over this, you'll see that it says start date 3/25/24 and end date 4/11/2024. Well, that means it's taken that long for it to move 5 points. Okay, so that you can kind of see the range period here. So here it was about 7 days. Here it was 2 days. Here it was about 6 days. So you can see these ranges. So IBM takes a while to maybe make that big of a move. Let's see. Neil's asking, can I use a theme with a better contrast? This is kind of cloudy. Well, let's switch over to. We'll use the MetaStock light theme. And maybe not for the demo here. Let's go to Bright Spark. Trying to find one that wouldn't be quite as stark for the presentation. Well, let's do this. Let's go in and we'll use that one, and we'll make the weight of them a little thicker so you can see it maybe. Okay, how's that? Hopefully that's a little bit better. So if I go in now, you can see that my ranges will move like that. Well, let's show you one other example here. So if I double click on this again, go to parameters, and let's go to average true range. Well, what's average true range? Average true range is basically it's how much this moves on average for the 14-day period. Okay, so this kind of changes. So if I click OK this time, which is a really great way of looking at price. Okay, so range bars only use the close of the underlying data, and that's important to note. So the range bars will expand up or down with the price action. When the height equals the specified range, the current bar will close at the high or the low, depending on the direction. And then a new range bar will open either way. So you can go back in, and if it's easier for you to see with a candle, so we'll go to range candle, and let's make that a little thicker as well. Okay, so you can see this painted as a candle as well. So it's a great way to kind of look at it and kind of understand how much something is moving and how long it takes to move with range bars. People really like range bars with things like commodities. FX is a big place to use it as well, but it's also a great, it's also very useful in equity. So whatever it is you're trading, you can use it, but there is a big emphasis with commodities and FX that people will use the range bars and candles with. Okay, so this just highlights the difference, but same chart, but ATR versus setting a specific range size. And so that's range bars. Now this one, people have been going nuts over. I'll be honest. Well, they've been going a little nuts because they're very excited about it. So let me actually bring up my my Kelly multi time frame here. See how easy it is to just go back to a layout, just launch things back up. It's awesome. Okay, so I've got my different time frames here. What I'm going to show you now is this cursor up here on the left-hand side. So if I click on this, now remember we have different time frames here. I have a 5-minute, a daily, and a weekly. And if I bring this cursor on, you can see as I go across my 5-minute, I also have a cursor over on my daily chart and my weekly chart. It's going to line up and show me exactly where I am with price. So if I were to come over here and go back in time, you'll see it stays pretty much in the same place on the daily and the weekly because there's not a lot of movement. But as I move down, it will move and kind of go through it. As I go to a previous day, I might need to scroll back here to show you a previous day. So if I'm back on a previous day, you can see it goes to the previous day and shows exactly where my cursor is across all time frames. So if you're looking at multiple time frames and trying to match things up, it's going to do that for you and show you that alignment across multiple time frames. Now that doesn't have to be limited to multiple time frames. So if I were to go over to my Kelly Broad Market, which again, layouts are awesome. You can just switch between things. Okay, so if I have my global cursor on, you can see I can see that alignment as I move between different price bars as well. Now the crosshairs may be different because my x-axis is different across because I'm seeing, excuse me, my y-axis. X is the bottom, y is the side. My y-axis is different because my pricing is different. They're not all in alignment, but my vertical will be, but my horizontal may not line up exactly. But the global cursor is a great way to look at it. And if you turn it off, you just click on that, you don't see the cursor anymore. If you only want your cursor on one chart, well, you can just put it on, you can turn that off in your chart options so you only have it on one chart. If you have multiple layouts open across multiple screens and have the global cursor on, it will go across all of your open layouts as well. So it's really easy to navigate through. Wow, we've been here, we're going. I love this. This is awesome. So that's global cursor. Watermark we've already talked about. Other chart features that are available now. Learn as you plot. And what that is, this is actually a really cool one. I really like this one because what this is, let's just go back to my main window here. And let's just say that you're using the MACD indicator and you want to learn about the MACD, you want to practice with it. Well, what this does is if I'm using Learn as you plot, and let's say I want to start right here. Well, what I can do is if I hold down Control and use my right arrow, it will move forward one bar at a time. Okay. So that way, if I'm looking at my indicator and go, what would I do here? You can practice, you can understand how the chart works, how the indicator works, and practice as you go through it one bar at a time. You can also go backward the other way and do that. So I really like this because if I'm learning something new, I like to be able to go back and say, okay, well, how would I have used this? And I could go at it a bar at a time and learn at it. Yeah, pretty cool too, Neil, isn't it? So that's a big one. Greater position on odds probability cone. Transparency will be set. You can have the X and Y axis. You can change the font size on the sides if you want to. If you want bigger text or different fonts on your X and Y axis, you can change those. The text editor has been improved for better text adding to your chart. Some new drawing tools. One bar at a time, finally, awesome. Doug's excited again, I love it. Some new drawing tools. So in MetaStock 18, with the trend line, we added the ability to actually have trends, put a measurement tool on there. So if I could go into my my trend line, and then I could edit the properties and do all that. And people told us like, hey, that's not really easy to use. It's not very evident. I'd really like just a quick measure tool. So over here, you'll see we have two different tools. We have measure percent and measure points. So I can just grab one and it's automatically set to percent or points, whichever one you select. You can come in and you can still edit some of the things if you want to see the number of periods. You can add that into it. You can change the color, all that, but it's only set to percent. That is based off of a lot of user feedback. We went through a lot of the surveys we were getting back, and people were like, hey, I'd really like just a dedicated measure tool rather than the trend line. So we added that in for both points and percent. So that's available to you now. We added in these 6 new drawing tools. So you can do the XABCD, which is a Gartley pattern. You can draw head and shoulders. You can do Elliott waves. We'll just quickly talk about this. Let's go back to main here. We're just looking at one chart. And let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, we've got a little bit of a head and shoulders here. But let's go ahead and put, so the head and shoulders pattern. So if you want to draw head and shoulders, you could go, okay, well, I see a little bit of a left shoulder here. See a bit of a head pattern here, and then a bit of a right shoulder here. So you can draw the patterns on the chart. You can highlight them. You can change these colors. You're not stuck with the purple there. You can change it to whatever color you want and save those defaults. But you can do that. You can actually take it and move it around if you want to. If you want to kind of go through your chart and look for those patterns, you can do that. With the Elliott wave, we'll just do an ABC pattern here. Now, I'm going to draw this wrong. I'm just showing you an example here. So if I go A, B, C, you'll see it'll draw the pattern on the chart for you with the drawing tool. And then you can, if you're an Elliott wave enthusiast and use Elliott wave drawing tools, you'll really like this because you can come in here and change the text. So if it's a major, minor, or motive wave, you can change from parentheses, circle, label only, depending on what you want. You can make the text size bigger. You can just do a free-handed mode if you want to. All that stuff. Okay, so Elliott waves is very customizable there as well. So some new drawing tools added in. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a few systems that are included inside of MetaStock 19. We always do like to include a few new systems for people to use. It's always appreciated by our users. So we selected 2 different add-ons to add into MetaStock 19. So one, ETS is our first one. This one's a $300 value, which is more expensive than just getting the upgrade already. So just getting this add-on would have paid for your upgrade. So ETS 2.1, this one is a trend-based following system. So it makes it really easy to identify trends because it looks at it in a few different ways. So this is how it looks like on a chart. It gives you easy buy and sell signals. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it does and how it develops it. But really, the creator of the system, his name is Michael Murmer. He was awarded several awards for his work in research and trend following. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but we're thrilled that we can put his work into MetaStock and make it part of his legacy. And his name's Michael Murmer. If you research him, he's a very well awarded technician. And what he developed was this system called Trend Watch. And the Trend Watch is basically a way of measuring the direction of the trend, the angle of the trend, and highlighting it in such a way that it's easy to follow. And that's what Trend Watch is. And he came up with this phrase that I really, really like. It's called the trend is your friend. It measures the direction and angle. It will give you what the trend is. It'll say, is it bullish or bearish based off the direction, trend, angle of that specialized moving average. And when it detects that it's moved in such a way that the trend is now bullish, it will trigger you a buy signal. If it moves in the other direction, it'll give you a sell signal. Okay, so it's using these directional trend basis to give you the buy and sell signals, which makes it really, really easy because it's doing all the work for you. So you can tell the trend either one of 2 ways. This ribbon down here, which is just red or green. If it's bullish, it's bearish. And then you can see this isn't really relevant whether it's more shaped or curved or anything. It's just giving you the overall direction of it. Okay. What I really like is his commentary. Okay, so if I pop out my commentary window, let's go back a bar by clicking back the back arrow here. So on the previous bar on IBM, it triggered a bearish sell. When it did that, it says, okay, enter short. It's a short position. Once you enter it, where am I going to set my stop? You've got your target. Okay, so my entry back here was, so let's say our high of the bar was 897, we'll just say. So my protective stop is set at 193. And now I've got a profit target. So if I'm on the short side, my target down is 172. Now, how's he determining that? Well, it's a measurement again of that trend in the direction of that ETS indicator. Once it measures that, it can generate the profit targets and the extended profit targets. So our first target's 172. If it hits that, well, then that's a time to kind of really protect your profits, and then look for that extended profit target. Okay, so it's a great directional move. So you can go back here. So if we said right here, let's look at our commentary. So our price back here was 144 on the entry. So on that day, it said our initial profit target was 153. Okay, so you can see where 153 is, and then our extended profit target was 177. So right here at this range was our extended profit target. So you can see it came up, kind of hit right there, and that's where it started to get choppy, and you got these directional changes with the ETS. Okay, so it's really easy to use. It's got a great scan to it where you can just come in and you can say, hey, I want to quickly scan. We'll just do a quick scan with it. Okay, so you've got an enter long. A custom, what that is you can optimize the system and kind of back test it to see if different variables might be better than the standard. Okay, so you've got ETS long and ETS short. So if I were to just do a short, let's maybe just do the S&P 500 there. It'll go through and you'll see it'll just give long signals, and then you can go through and remember how we talked about that new feature where you can rank and then you can just go through and sort. Really, really easy. It's really great. I really, really love it. Well, and the big thing I'll say, man, that kind of stuff just helps us so much as traders, right? Being able to quickly navigate, get to the information you want to get to, and get onto your trade. And it just makes life so much easier to be able to do it, be able to work like that and work in this new manner. I mean, and you can really tell the workflows in MetaStock 19 are just so much better than they have been in the past. Okay, we only got one signal here. Datadog was providing a signal. So we can go over here. Let's put on the ETS template and see what it has to say. Okay, so there's our generative signal. We are at a close of 130. Okay, so it's saying enter long. Set our stop at 120.99. Our initial profit target's 142, and our extended profit is 169. Now, again, don't make a trade recommendation based off of what I'm showing here. This is just an example. But to answer your question, Doug, is ETS included in MetaStock 19 or is it an add-on? This is included in MetaStock 19. So this is part of MetaStock 19. You're not paying anything extra. If you get the upgrade, you're getting this included, but it was something we would sell for $300 previously. So included. There are also system tests that are available with this as well. You can test it as much as you want to, see how it performs across groups of stocks. I apologize, I'm just going to take a quick drink one more time. I'm going to mute myself while I take a quick drink. And this is a good time to type a question if you have one while I take a quick drink. Okay, now the other system, well, there's actually lots of systems that we actually included in MetaStock 19. Now, one of the things that we did is, over the years, using what's called the RMO. If you've used the RMO is a great system inside MetaStock. We're not going to spend a lot of time on RMO here in this demo. But if you've never heard about the RMO, watch the Unleash the Power of MetaStock. It'll show you a great demo of how to use the RMO, or go to our YouTube channel and watch it. There's lots of great videos by the creator. But some of the things that we've done is with the explorations, they weren't all named RMO. You had swing trade, you had RMO, they're all named different ways. So we've redone them all, so they're all named RMO, and they have a better explanation of what it is you're looking for, the primary trend, the medium trend, or the short-term trend. They also have tool tips on them, so if you hover over them, it'll explain it. We added in close and volume into the explorations, so we added a lot there. So that's the explorations. We also added in 5 new RMO templates. So if you're familiar with the RMO, or maybe you're not, what we can do is if we right-click Apply Template, we go down to RMO, you can see the templates in here. So this is the classic RMO template that's been in MetaStock since version 10. Obviously with version 18, we added in a lot of capabilities with how you can shade indicators and change indicators. So there's this model shaded in here. So if we click on that one, you can see it's the same RMO, but it's cleaned up a lot. It looks a lot more refined. It's more visually appealing. You can actually see the crossings of the midterm and short-term trend. So it's actually a lot easier to actually use. But to make it even easier to use, Rahul created these other templates that are these binary ones. So I'm going to just show you 2 of them. So there's the bull pulse. And what the bull pulse does is it basically helps you quickly identify what's going on. So this indicator right here is if the RMO is bullish. If it's pulsed up, it's bullish. So it's bullish right now. Then it tells you if you have blue bars. So we have blue bars. So we have RMO bullish, we have blue bars, and we have the buy arrow. So we have our alignment right here. Boom, boom, boom. That's a signal. So it's just a quick, easy way to look at it and see if you have a signal with the RMO very, very quickly. I love this. I love the RMO a lot. So I'll look at these, and these new templates just make it easy to quickly identify opportunities. And again, if you're not familiar with the RMO, watch the other videos that kind of explain the system, how to use it. But the other templates are, you have the RMO binary bull pulse, which is the opposite of what we just looked at. You have one that's the bull and bear that shows all the bullish and bearish in one. But he also developed this pro mode. So you've got RMO pro mode. So what this is, this just quickly helps you see. Okay, so if I have a blue bar, and then if the short-term and primary trend are all aligned, it goes bullish here. So all I have to do is look for the pulse and this pulse, and I've got a buy opportunity. Okay, so it's a quick, easy way to identify opportunities with the RMO. So if you're using that, if you like the RMO, you're going to love these new templates. Doug is asking, can you reorient the watermark, say, in the upper left corner rather than in the center? No, it is not orientable. It's not a selectable item in the chart, because then that kind of played with that, but that makes it really clunky with trying to move indicators around and things. So it's just a watermark in the center there. It's a good question. Okay, so these are the different signals. So this is the bear pulse. So you can just see quickly, again, red arrow, red bars, RMO below, boom, signal. So it's easy to identify them. So that's the bull and bear pulse. There's the pro mode that we just talked about. We put a gap scanner into MetaStock 19. So now you can scan for gaps. It's called Gap Identifier in the Explorer. So you can just say, hey, I want to look for gaps. It'll give you a gap up, gap down, gap up with volume confirmation, or gap down with volume confirmation. It'll then highlight them on the chart with the expert and give you an expert commentary as well. So we won't go through that. You can see it all right there in the chart. But if you like to scan for gaps, that's been added as well. Another system we've included is called the Ichimoku Master. So the Ichimoku Master is, well, I mean, basically, if you use the Ichimoku indicator, we're not going to spend a lot of time teaching the Ichimoku indicator here. We're actually going to have some classes on it later. But this is another included system. You do have yeah, Neil, yeah, check it out. The one we have in MetaStock 19 is open code, so you can just go in and see the code. and look at it to see what it is, how yours compares. So the Ichimoku is based off of the Ichimoku indicator, which you can see inside of MetaStock 19. That's been included in just about every version of MetaStock, but a lot of people don't know how to use it. So we also included the Ichimoku Master add-on into MetaStock 19 that normally retailed at $4.99, so that you've got the ETS and this value about $798 included inside the upgrade. So it's a great way to, some great systems. So if you're not familiar again with it, what it'll do is it'll actually tell you what you're looking at with each indicator. So if you look at the commentary window, you'll see each indicator is color coordinated over here. So you can look at it and go, okay, well, what indicator is this? And you can see the values. And then it'll tell you what state it in. Is it bullish? Is it bearish? What's going on with it? It'll tell you the whole sequence of what you're looking at when you get signals, what type of signals you should be taking. It is such a robust system around this indicator to really help you learn it. It is a fantastic, if you're not familiar with it, it's a fantastic indicator to use. It really helps pinpoint directional changes. And again, we're not going to spend a lot of time learning it today, but just a highlight of it there. Ichimoku Sanjin, What a Man in the Mountain Sees. It was developed by this fine gentleman here. So these are the indicators to it. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here talking about all the different indicators, what it does, but I encourage you to go check out the expert. Check it out, see what it shows you, how to use it. And again, we'll be doing some dedicated webinars just around this system because it is such a great system. We want to spend some time on it since we've already been going for a little bit here. We want to spend some time dedicated to this. Okay, so what it looks for, it'll look for trend bias, price relationships to the Kumo cloud, which is that green cloud, how it acts as support and resistance, the current and future direction, and then you've got the twist. So all this is shown on the chart through the expert commentary. So if you're interested in learning about the Ichimoku indicator or you already use it, check out the expert. It's really, really good. It's really well defined. It'll help you understand this a whole lot more. So the expert, again, will tie it all together. There's scans around it, so you can scan for different aspects of the Ichimoku. You can system test it. It's all broken out into specific indicators if you want. It's a really robust way to look at this indicator. So if you haven't looked at it historically, man, check it out. It's really, really good. The last thing we're going to talk about here is a free template that we included from Jake Bernstein. So this is called expansion and contraction. So this is a free template in here. And we'll just quickly go through this, kind of show you what it is, how to interpret it a little bit. But this is based off of Jake Bernstein's work and Brian Lotta's work on expansion and contraction. And the first thing you'll notice up here is what we call the MAC channel. So the MAC channel is something that was developed by Jake Bernstein quite a few years ago, and he uses it regularly in his trading. And what it is, it's a 10-period SMA of the high, which is a simple moving average of the high. Down here at the bottom, you have an 8-period SMA of the low. So 10-period of the high, 8 of the low, calls it as MAC channel, so moving average channel. Okay, so that's what that stands for. Down here, you have the moving average of, you have the Williams accumulation distribution indicator, and then a moving average of that indicator. And then down at the bottom, you have expansion and contraction. So what expansion and contraction is doing is it's looking at the movement of the moving average channel and looking for expansion and contraction based off of that. Okay, so it's a very simple concept, but there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes to determine this expansion and contraction. So we're not going to read that, but what it basically does is it takes that expansion and contraction and breaks it out into bullish and bearish zones, basically. Now, I've just added these to the screen. It doesn't actually put these boxes around and say bullish and bearish. But what it'll do is it'll highlight when it turns green, we're moving into a bullish zone. When it changes into red, we're moving into bearish zones. Okay, so it's a great indicator for looking at expansion, contraction, understanding bullish and bearish reversals, and helping to do that. And Jake has given this to us to put in MetaStock 19 for free. Now, if you want to get scanning around this, or if you want to get back testing around this, or you want to get expert advisor around this, he did develop an add-on that we've launched with the release of MetaStock 19. That's normally $599. You can get it with an upgrade to MetaStock 19 for $499. It's a great add-on. I look at everything that goes out the door, and expansion contraction is a great add-on. I think you'll really like it if you check it out. You can always check out the free template, but I think once you kind of get in with it and start playing with it, you go, hey, this is really cool. I'd like to scan on this. I'd like to look at the experts. So if you get MetaStock 19, get this as a tryout. You can try it you can get it on a 30-day money-back guarantee to see if you like it. And if you don't, send it back to us. That's the way the one-time products work at MetaStock. Okay, so free template, but you can get the add-on that gives you more capabilities with it as well. All right, so let's talk about what we've covered here. So we've talked about the new and improved charting workflows, which are those tab charts that you can move around, you can dock, you can make document groups, resize them, link them together, all very, very, very cool stuff. We did the new layouts where you can bounce around, have different groups of charts set up in different areas of the screen or different monitors, and switch between them and quickly open up groups of charts. I love tab charts and I love layouts. You're gonna love it too. Once you kind of get into it, you're gonna go, man, how did I live without this? That's the kind of the way I feel about this. These charts, these new workflows are game changing for MetaStock. We actually had somebody tell us that the other day. They're like, wow, what you've done is just a game changer for MetaStock. And just those two things are so worth what you're getting with MetaStock 19. But you also get theme support. You're getting the new container, the whole new look and feel, the modernization of MetaStock, new charting styles, new drawing tools, the volume at price, the range bars, all that stuff, all available in there. You also get the new trading systems. We went through the gap identification, the ETS, the Ichimoku master, the RMO updates. I mean, all this stuff is just a mind-blowing upgrade. And so if you haven't upgraded yet, I hope you give us a call right after this. But you also get free the updated Unleash the Power of MetaStock. That's all done and redone in MetaStock 19. And it has the PDF manual that you can print out if you want. You can go through it on your computer. I take you through starting with MetaStock, the Power Tools overview, how to filter and back test, more in back testing, forecasting, filtering and forecasting, chart pattern recognition, understanding the RMO, working with local data, all this stuff. There's lots of great things. This is normally $99. You'll get this for free with your upgrade. But here's how you can reach out to us. Here's the way you get a hold of us. So you can give us a call. The sales guys are over there. They're happy to talk to you about MetaStock 19 and your pricing. 800-882-3040 is our 800 number, 801-506-0900. You can also chat with us at metastock.com/sales chat. The reps are great about helping you through chat as well. Or if you just want to go to the website, you can go to metastock.com/M424. If you already have MetaStock and you just need to upgrade. If you need to, if you're a new customer, want to get started with MetaStock, go to metastock.com/P424. So those are the links to go to
Kelly.
check out MetaStock. You can also go to our homepage at metastock.com, click on the banner at the home, the what's new in MetaStock, and it'll take you to those pages as well. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in.
Kelly.
Otherwise, thanks for all the questions. You gave me lots of great questions
Kelly
today.
can't hear me, but the landing page was actually incorrect. It's in E424.
And how it can help you in your everyday trading. I appreciate it. I'm glad you asked your questions. I did put my email in there earlier, so if you have questions, email me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I love feedback. I think it's great because all this was based off of feedback. This is what you guys as users wanted. So I hope you found today useful, instructional. Thanks, everybody. Keep on trading and successful trading. Hi, Kelly Clement here from MetaStock. Before you go, I have two quick things for you. One, thanks for joining us today. We love having you here at our webinars and viewing our videos. So what I'd like to invite you to do before you go is like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal and it helps us bring you more awesome content like today's video. The second thing is we have a great ebook on trading that you can get for free. If you go to metastock.com/YouTubebook, you can get a free copy of The Secrets of Successful Traders. It's a great book with lots of content from traders just like yourself who can teach you some of the secrets that they have learned. Thanks for taking a second with me and learning about those two things. Thanks for joining us and keep on trading.